Should we catch all of our listeners up on what's been going on?
I have COVID.
Yeah, you have COVID.
I have COVID. It feels very Claire. Remember they shot Claire during COVID and they all quarantined and then went to that place. Was it somewhere?
Yeah, it was like the La Quinta, the Marriott. I don't know what it was. Yeah, in Palm Springs or something, right?
Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
In some ways at that time, it must have been kind of nice that everybody had to go through that quarantine. Like, I think, they had to go 2 weeks. They had to quarantine.
Yes.
And that must have been actually kind of nice for that time because, everyone was in their pods and not seeing people. And so, I don't know. I remember, and then I think was it Zach's season that somebody someone tested positive? Like it was a whole...
Yeah, and they just went home. We never heard from them again.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just left and it was like, oh, I guess that person's not coming back. I think there was, maybe that person wasn't really interested anyway because, like, Chalk went away when his mom died and then he came right back to Joan.
That was 3 days instead of 10 days.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and then I was in Montana for a week, so our last episode got delayed, and then I had an ear surgery. It's been a real mess around here.
How's your ear?
It's fine. We changed the bandage yesterday, and just pulling it off was like, everything was stuck to it. It was kind of a mess.
Oh, it was the first time you haven't changed
First time, yeah, changing it yesterday. So it's better after that, but I'm kind of unhappy about it.
I had this ex-boyfriend a long time ago in my 20s, and he used to say, like, you need a good story, right, when you have an injury. So I think yours should be like you have all those are all piercings, and you got in a girl fight.
Oh.
And this bitch ripped your earrings.
Yeah, I totally actually forgot that I was supposed to have my microphone here. Yes, I got in a girl fight. That's
right. You got in a girl fight. We got in a fight. We got in a fight. And I ripped your earrings out, and I'm sorry.
Thanks for the apology.
Yes. So we have the tell-all and fantasy suites. Are we talking about the tell-all? What are we doing?
I fast forwarded through most of the tell-all, so
did you?
I have nothing to say about it. I have nothing to say about it. If you have something to say, go for it.
Okay, I do have that. Carolina. Okay, first I have just a couple of things. One, I almost didn't recognize Dina. She was like back to being lawyer mode or something. It looked like she was dressed by Ann Taylor, and she had that ponytail and the glasses. Hey, I wear glasses. No shade there. But the whole look was just like night and day, right? It was like she just left a court case or something and came right from court to the tell-all. It was, I don't know, interesting.
Yeah, it was. I mean, her dress is a little plungy, so I think, from what I remember. So it was a little naughty attorney, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, her dress? No, it was like
Wasn't it?
No, it was like suitish looking. I mean, maybe, well, I guess as far as attorneys, but it was very Ann Taylor. Yeah.
It was Dina at the tell-all.
I would not look at that and go, yeah, it was kind of plungy.
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, it was. I thought it was a little maybe low cut for court, but we don't need to.
Okay, well, that's semantics. I just think it was very Ann Taylor court. Whatever.
Yeah, it had like buttons on it. There, I just sent you a picture.
Yeah, it had buttons on it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, was not a fan of her look. And then Carolina is just a piece of work. And I wonder if she thought she was going to be like, oh my God, I'm just blanking on her name. Maria, like she thought she was going to be that person, and she's not. Although she looked, when they introduced her, she kind of looked like, oh, are people going to boo me or cheer, or what's going to happen? And then she had that jacket on, whatever.
Very Melania Trump. Remember when, very crazy and evil on the back, and she
said about herself. She said that about herself. No one else
I know.
said that about her, right? So she did that, and then she definitely was planting things as if she thought Grant was emotionally intelligent in the beginning, and he said some things that were concerning to her. She was definitely trying to plant this story of Grant's not who you think he is kind of
Yes.
person. She was going to spill the tea on who he really is, right? I mean, she definitely was throwing some shade out there. And I love that Dina broke it down and said, no, you're not taking accountability. Let me tell you what accountability is. And she was definitely playing the victim. And then when Dina calls her out, she gets up and she leaves the stage. She's not back by the commercial break.
Right.
And then they're talking to Alex, and once again, she pulls focus onto herself and she walks out, crosses the camera. So you see her cross in front of the camera to go sit down. And it's like, once again, you're pulling focus and making it about you, right? I mean,
yeah, she can't stop crying and running away and doing all the stuff she does.
and
She's
deflecting and
yeah.
making it like she's the victim and really and then his sister, who's beautiful, says, hey, I think you were emotionally available and handled yourself with grace. And I think he did. And maybe to a fault where people were really shocked when they went home, but that's not really new. I mean, everyone's always shocked, right? Usually. And then it seems like Carolina backed off a little bit, and maybe she just, but yeah, I was still like, oh, that's why I'm not a fan of you. And then those are my two big things. And then Rose, once again, you did me dirty. The vocal fry.
I'm so done with these girls. I don't want to see them on Paradise. I'm past them. I don't have anything to say about it. I
never liked Tell All, though.
I don't like Tell All.
Yeah, you never liked Tell All. So.
I find it really boring. They basically, this time, especially, like, I fast forwarded through all the women when they went up on the stage, when he called them up to put them in the hot seat.
Right.
I fast forwarded through all of that. So I sort of watched the beginning and I watched a little bit of the end with Grant. Grant at the end just looked like doing that mirror thing. He just I don't know what happened. He looked terrified. Like there was just something about him that he looked so uncomfortable. He does this with his hands a lot. He actually does this on the episode, in the episodes
too. Probably
anxiety. Yeah, he was definitely seen to be having anxiety. So anyway,
I mean that's gotta be a little terrifying. And then you have Carolina saying shit, and I don't know. I do like the Tell All, and I took extensive notes. I have but I do like that at the end where Dina says, if I made you feel like you couldn't express that, I apologize. I thought it was going to go a completely different way, and she got she got emotional and stuff. So I'm excited. I'm kind of excited about certain ones being on Bachelor in Paradise, and I do think that Parisa seemed a little bummed that Jessie took her place in the Chubby Bunny contest at the end.
Oh, I didn't see that. I don't think I saw that. Wait,
and then
maybe
one more
I
thing.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, it was at the very end, and Jessie
Very end,
did
maybe
it
I did. Yeah,
but
I did see that.
When Alex was in the hot seat, and Jesse Palmer said something about finding a different love or something like that, and Alex went, and I was like, oh my God, does she think is she going to be the next Bachelorette? And in that moment, I wonder, did she think she was going to be the next Bachelorette, or did she already know that Linda the Llama was there, and that's who they brought out?
I haven't. Yeah, I don't know because I didn't watch it, but yeah.
Yeah, she had this look of like, and it's like, is that for Linda the Llama, or does she think they're going to announce her as the next Bachelorette? Do they think they're going to announce her on going to Bachelor in Paradise? It was.
If she thought the next Bachelorette and they pulled out the llama, that's bad.
Yeah, and by that, yes, yeah, and then the llama comes out. Anyways, okay, so. We're moving on, right?
Fantasy Suites. We are in the Dominican Republic. You ever been to the Dominican Republic?
Have I been where?
I want to say Dominican Republic.
No, have you?
No, it's beautiful. Peter was so caught off guard last night because if you look at the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and he was like, Haiti is just falling apart at the seams. The last 3 years, it's basically run by gang members. And then you have this other half of the island. It's just they border each other, and it's a tiny island, right? And one side can be complete chaos, and the other side can be a tourist haven. It was really, I don't know, kind of interesting. Grant, like, I didn't know this. Grant said that the last, he was there 3 years ago playing basketball. This is his second home. He's part Dominican. His grandmother's from the Dominican Republic. So, and he was like, what did he say? He said, above all else, my grandmother would want me to be happy. And it's so weird when people say stuff like this, because it's like, my mom would want me to be happy, my grandmother. And to me, it kind of goes without saying. I don't know. It seems just like a thing that people have to say, I guess.
Yeah, but devil's advocate, some people might say like, oh, my mom would hate that I'm doing this show. So,
I guess.
I mean, like Dina's family. Oh, and that was another interesting thing. Sorry. Another tell-all thing, Amy, Christine, I don't know if you saw this, when Dina said that she was actually the one who made the final decision for her family not to come on.
I heard it on The Bachelor, but I did not see it.
Okay, and then the audience gasped, like, and she says because her family was in discord about it, people had very strong feelings, and it seems like it was her brothers that were really opposed to it. So she chose to keep the family peace and not have them on. And I was just like, wow, I can't imagine that if not doing it because my brother,
just don't have your brother come on, or just have that person.
Just not have my brother there. I don't know. That was just that's crazy to me how just different families operate. I would not, I'd be like, oh, well, I guess he's not coming then. Like, I just,
right.
I would not do it because my brother didn't. And then she said, and I wasn't sure also, she said they weren't sure about being engaged at the end of it, if they could see it. And she said she couldn't either. So again, it just backs up what you were saying. She wasn't heartbroken. She wasn't that invested. Like there's
but it's so funny that she went that long and then said, I couldn't see us engaged. I don't know. Like, she couldn't see them engaged entirely overall, or just so quickly.
I think both.
Both, yeah.
And again, she referred to it, she really liked him.
Yes. Yeah, I really liked him. Right. That's not the same thing as I really, okay. I love him and I want to get engaged. Well, we start this episode. Grant sits down and talks to Jesse. I actually thought Jesse had some good advice. Grant to me seemed like he was sick. Like, he sounded sick. And I was like, oh, what a bummer if he's sick to have to kind of go through this next three or 4 days, which had to be pretty, I don't know, I would assume pretty grueling to have 3 dates in 3 days, or however they film it. Jesse tells him to be really intentional and to find out what he still needs to know about these women. And I just think that's a good piece of advice, because we don't know a lot about these women yet. We know certain things about them, and we'll talk about that as we go through each woman, as Grant would say. But I do think that they need to have some deeper conversations. And even after watching this, I still feel like we're missing some of those deeper conversations that might have happened in the fantasy suites, but those are the conversations I want to hear.
They never show those, though.
But I want to hear something of substance. The way that we were getting on the Golden Bachelor, which is why some of these were just more interesting. The conversations were more substantive. It's a hard word to say.
Well, on some, I would say. I didn't find Jones to be that much, really. I didn't jive with her. I didn't find her of much.
Was a lockbox. She was locked up. Yes.
Yeah, she was locked up. So for her, I don't see as much. But yeah, but also it's the age. Some of it's the age. And Juliana, her big thing is that she was cheated on and what it did to her. And if I was 21, and I'd probably be in the same place at that age of where she's at. Like, that was the biggest thing that happened to me in my life, that I was cheated on, and I don't know. So I do think it's a little bit of the age. But yeah. Can we talk about the Tommy Bahama shirt? Do you like his Tommy Bahama shirts?
Wait, Grant's?
Yeah, they look like Tommy Bahama shirts.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's they're beachy, right?
I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have thoughts on it. Not my favorite thing.
No. All right. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So Juliana goes to talk to Daisy. First of all, Juliana, that orange dress, on fuego. She's fucking hot.
And her hair looks lighter, doesn't it?
Yeah, her hair does look lighter.
Looks like she got it colored. Yeah.
I think all of the ladies they got a chance to have a little glow up, where I don't think that they're generally allowed to go do something. I think because I was reading that they don't have any help doing their nails or their hair or anything during this whole process. But Daisy comes back to talk to Juliana, and I'm like, Daisy? Who cares?
All three of them, really.
They did, but only Litia ended up with Katie, who ended up talking to Katie, who did end up with Zach in the end. Daisy, I didn't even remember that she was on Joey's season, honestly. She didn't win. So, why are we...
Because they tried to make it where she was, which is interesting. But I think because... I don't know, just devil's advocate. Maybe it's Latia's with Katie because they feel like she's the front runner, right? So that's what I assume.
Yeah.
And Juliana's a little bit of the dark horse, and she goes far, but so they bring on Daisy. And then Rachel's the one who, didn't have as much time and as much of a connection, so they give her to Zoe. Right? If those feel like very much like the producers. And are they totally showing their hand right now, or are they,
are they messing with us a little bit? Juliana says to Daisy that she's basically worried about Grant having all these side chicks, and she understands. She keeps saying, "I understand this process," but they both say once you're in it, it's a little different, which I can't imagine. So she keeps talking about this 6 or 7 year pain, hurt. I finally figured out what she was talking about. I'm just going to jump ahead just for a second. Later on, she says to Grant that it was 6 to 7 years of her life, not 6 or 7 years ago. So I'm glad I got that straight, because when she was talking to Daisy, she was like, oh, I really thought it was 6 or 7 years ago that she was hurt. And I was thinking she should have moved on. So she's only 28 or something. This had to happen in a large part of her 20s. When did she... Right. I just kind of want to know a little bit of a timeline on there, because she won't stop talking about it. I'm finding it okay, we get it. You've said it. Now we've got to move past it at some point, or it's just going to be in her way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, yes, it's definitely consumed her. And she keeps saying a dark time. I'm like, does she need to go to therapy? Is her mental health okay? She definitely is very still not healed from it. And he does wipe her tears away when they talk about it.
I didn't even make a note of it because it was so
I know. But annoying. I do think he was, I found her endearing and it was very sweet when she said, I'm a little broken. And the way she said it, I thought was very vulnerable and endearing. And I felt like he respond and say we're all a little broken, which I think is true. We all have, we're all functioning and we're not walking around like broken, you know what I mean? But we all have our shit, right? So no one's perfect. And I don't feel like I'm walking around like, but I know what he was saying. But when he said love fixes it all, it's like, no, it doesn't.
I made the same note. It does not.
Loving yourself, maybe. Self-love. And maybe it helps to have someone who loves you, but after a couple of years of being together and the high wears off of it, you're still there. You are with your shit, and if you don't work through it, then it's still all right there. Love does not make it that way.
This is one of the things that when Juliana says she's still working to fix herself, I can appreciate that. She's being honest. And like Grant said, we're all in a way still working to fix ourselves. But at this point, when she brings up the boyfriend, now I know she'd brought it up to Grant in the past, and maybe it's just because we've heard it so many times, but it feels like that she can't let it go. And this would make me nervous if I was Grant, because can she forgive him if he sleeps with one of the other women in the fantasy suites? That's a conversation that they will have to have. Yeah. If they end up together, will she consider that cheating on her? Peter said something really funny there. We can kind of skip the go-kart date because I didn't really have a lot to say about that, unless you have something to say about the go-kart date.
Have you ever done that, the RV?
No, but it's such a classic
go-kart
Bachelor date. No, the four-wheeler. Did you say RV?
RV? Yeah. It's like an RV.
Isn't RV is one of those big things that you drive around like a Winnebago?
Yeah, it's like a little ATV or RV. Oh, not
It's
RV.
an ATV.
ATV.
You're making fun of me for calling it a go-kart,
and
and you're calling it
go-kart,
an
and then I call it
RV.
RV. ATV. Have you ever
No,
done? We did an ATV in Mexico when we went to Punta Mita, and actually we had a lot of fun.
No, it looks fun.
Yeah.
It's just I do get they're kind of running out of dates to have. They're running out of things to jump off of, running things to have adventures and to go fast on.
Yeah.
But hold on. Oh yeah, they get to the dinner, and everyone's crying. She's crying. He's crying. And Peter just said, "If you're having tears at dinner, you're having sex at night, right? Like, is there a correlation between crying at dinner?" Getting close, feeling that closeness, and then going and banging it out later. I don't know. That's kind of just something that we had in mind. I do think when they woke up the next morning, I had a feeling that they slept together.
I have a feeling, and if so, I feel like she might be the only one that he does.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Right? Actually sleeps together. But, and in the morning, it's the first time in how long he's eating breakfast.
That's what Peter said.
Eating. And that never happens. And then as he's eating, I'm like, well, now I kind of understand why, because it's distracting watching him take the bites and chew. Like, it was a little distracting.
Yeah, that's funny because I didn't notice he was eating, and Peter's like, oh, because Peter gets so upset. He's just like, why aren't they eating the food? He thinks it goes to waste, right. And it really, really bothers him. But my favorite parts of the fantasy suite is the next morning, like what we see the next morning. I feel like you can kind of tell a lot about it. Peter said, oh, she doesn't look that different without makeup. And I was like, boy, she is wearing makeup. She never took it off. Her eyelashes are still on. And her face kind of like, I hate sleeping in makeup because your eyes kind of get caked together, and she had that look. But yeah, those eyelashes, those big fake eyelashes.
She was up in the morning and she was refreshing and gave herself, even if she didn't sleep in her makeup, she put on less makeup in the morning and put her eyelashes back on, or they're semi-permanent ones. And yeah, she was up, she brushed her teeth. The camera crew wasn't there. I'm like, oh, there you are still in bed. And then they shoot like the hand thing, which is like the classic sign of having sex in a movie, right?
Yes.
Class, and then they show that in the morning, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yes.
So, yes, they show that in the morning. And then, there was something else. Oh, I can't remember now. They were cute. She calls him, she says, they cheered. She calls him boyfriend. And then when they say goodbye to each other, she says, bye, boyfriend. So she's referred to him as her boyfriend a couple of times.
She did on the go-kart date when they like cheered to, they toasted on the go-kart date. I think she said something about that too. Yeah. So
and of course they get that stupid key, which, like that fake.
Oh my God. I said the same thing. I just said to Peter, when are they going to replace this with a key card? Although they do on Litia's date, I noticed.
With a picture of the old-fashioned card. The picture of the old-fashioned key on the key card.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I stopped it. Yes. So I was like, oh, so there's no key, but there's a picture of the old-fashioned key on a key card. So I'm like, what happened to that one? Did someone misplace it? Did someone lose it in production? Because it's that same key. They're all like, where's the key when you put it in the envelope? And nobody runs and jumps.
No, this is good. Maybe we're getting out of this.
Maybe we're out of that era.
Yes. The run and jump on people era.
And they, like you said, and they said, hey, he doesn't feel well. Nix that. Or that era is done. So, yeah. And don't you think it might be hard to be the first one, because it would be kind of hard to be the first one and then you have those extra days of sitting around waiting, right? I mean,
this was going to be one of my questions from you. Do you want to be first? Do you want to be last?
I don't know. Maybe you want to be first or last, maybe not in the middle.
I want to be last. I just I'd rather know. But I don't know if they know what order they're in. We don't know that. But I would definitely want to be last so that my date was.
I think she does know that. I think Juliana.
Oh, she does?
Yeah. I think she says, I think she knows she's the first one and he's going off to go on other dates. I think she knows that. she's first, and then they wait, and then he goes on the others. So I don't know. Then there's I guess you're still waiting, wondering if he's having a great time on the first date and the second date, and is he developing all these feelings by the time he gets to you? Maybe his feelings are already all spent. Or there's we had a first date, now maybe he's going to have another date and he's going to forget about my date. I guess there's there's kind of like a no
win here.
No win here. No win here.
There was one moment that I noticed where Grant caught himself here. It was breakfast. They were about to leave, and she said, I think I'm gonna keep you. I think I'm gonna keep you. And he said, oh yeah, I'm going to. And then he was clearly gonna say keep you, but then he stopped himself and he just said, you're a keeper too. And I thought that was, good for him for like catching himself, not because that would almost say, like, I'm going to keep you too. And if he doesn't, then it's misleading. And it's hard. I know it must be hard when you're in these circumstances to watch every word you say, but I think it's the responsibility of being in this role that you're in control of someone else's feelings in a way. So you have to be responsible.
But so it's got to be hard because you're trying to be in the moment and be present and be vulnerable and say how you feel, but at the same time, that's got to be. Yeah. And I didn't take it that way. So I didn't take it that so I have to go back and watch it. So it's interesting. I heard him say, you're a keeper, but I thought he misheard her. I didn't catch that he caught himself and changed the direction of what he said.
That's the way I took it. If I were you, I wouldn't go back and watch it. I don't think it's, unless it's just really bothering you.
No, it's just interesting.
Yeah. No, I wonder. I don't know. She does say, to your point, she's like, I'm on a high right now, but I know I'm going to spiral when I'm alone.
Which I like.
I was like, I would absolutely be totally spiraling. So she seems to be very aware she's aware of herself now, and she's aware of who she is. I like that about her a lot. I like Juliana a lot. Hope it didn't come off that I don't. I really like her.
No.
I did feel like their conversation at breakfast was a little for the camera. I felt like I think they were sincere in the things they were saying, but it felt a little posy, but I also don't know what you're supposed to do at that.
Well, it's got to be awkward. They did have sex too. They're like, okay, now, the whole thing has got to be a little awkward, which, speaking of awkward, should we jump to Zoe's date?
Let's go to Zoe.
I feel that was a good segue, right?
Yes.
So she looks amazing in the dress.
Amazing.
And then she goes, and then it's Rachel. And they bring in Rachel. And again, the whole time, there's just something very mechanical about the way she talks. So she talks to Rachel. And I don't know, like, she's got to be in a difficult position, though. She hasn't even gone on a date with him.
I know.
Right? Not one fucking date. So do you think, like, what would you do? Like, would you even, I don't know, part of me is like, would I really, how much does she want to pour her heart out to this guy and really let her guard down when he has two women that he's been dating, and he hasn't even been on a date with me? I would be thinking, there's no way he's going to pick me. And I don't know, like, would I just bow out and go, you know what, I don't know, what would you do?
I would like to think I would bow out. I think when you get there, you're so invested. I also think that there's just something, as you said, Zoe is competitive. We've said that from the very beginning.
That's true.
I think she's in it to win it. I do think that she likes him, and I think that she's hoping for like a Hail Mary of some sort. The truth is, on their last date, and I'm going to say this later, I don't really have a ton to say about Zoe's date, but he keeps saying, I could see you as a wife. I could see this long term. I think he leads her on. That's what I think. This is when I think Grant, I'm not thrilled with the things that he says to her. He says that, they feel very connected during the yoga date.
I didn't see a connection.
And he said, what he says to her after let me, instead of jumping ahead.
Let's talk about the yoga date.
The yoga date, my favorite thing was, because this is exactly what I was thinking.
Yes.
Don't
We were both
fart.
going to say yes. Yes. And I was like, yes. And I love him for saying that. Right? I hope I don't fart. That was what he was saying. And I thought
I
that was
mean,
really
because we
funny.
are
And
all
yeah.
thinking that. And then they got
Yeah.
to press their butts up against each other and bend down. And, after I had my sphincter surgery, it just comes out whenever it wants now. I don't really have.
Like it never used to. Don't blame the surgery,
I
lady.
had a
I've
little
known
bit
you
of
for a
control.
long time.
I had
I
more.
don't remember those days. And I've known you for a long time.
I had more sphincter control in the past. I would like to believe.
Well,
But
you
anyway,
didn't use it very much if you
okay.
had it.
Well, it doesn't seem like anyone farts, which is too bad because it would have made the date way more interesting. I love that Grant kept whispering. He could not be quiet on the silent date.
Yeah.
Zoe seems from the very beginning anxious, annoyed, peeved. She doesn't want to be on the date. I would hate this date. I don't blame her. I do not want a silent. If you're like by the beach and you can't hear a fart or you can't hear something else and because there's waves or something, but this seemed very quiet.
But it could have been sexy as well, like just sitting there cross-legged and like staring into each other. But she wasn't making eye contact with him either. And let's face it, I don't think he really designs the dates. So she should be mad at the producers. I don't think
No,
Grant's in there saying like, this is
agree.
what I want for my dates, So yeah, she seemed, she did an eye roll or kind of like I don't know if it was an eye roll when they were talking. And he said, we've had our bumps in the road or something. And she seemed like,
well, I also did that. What bumps in the road have they had? They haven't had any bumps in the road. They just haven't had time together. It's different.
I think that's what he meant. Like the bump in the road was that they haven't had spent time together. I think.
But the bump in the road makes it sound like they've had an argument, like it was Carolina or something like that.
Right.
I just thought, but again, it must be hard to choose your words every single moment.
I would not do well in that. And then, okay, so then they have the hot yoga date, and then they go on the evening date, which again, they always, it never seems relaxed and connected at all to me. They do not seem at ease with each other at all. When he said, and this is the producers, I'm sorry, telling him to say shit, because when he says, she makes me feel alive, I was like, really?
It's like, because you're so dead in the eyes. That's all we can only see.
She makes you feel alive. Like, really? Of all the stuff, no, I don't see it. And not that that's her job, not that that's her fault, but what a weird thing to say when especially when you're watching that, you're like, I don't get it. But, and then the next morning, they do the fantasy suite. That's the key card one, right? And then there's no waking up in the morning. They're at the beach.
I noticed this. This is the first time in Bachelor history I have ever seen them not be at least on the patio of the hotel, in the bed. They take them out to the beach. Why?
I think, this is what I think. I think, and good for her, I think she hasn't even been on a date with him yet, right? I bet they don't sleep together.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a feeling. But I bet she was not comfortable with that. I bet she did not want any kind of shot of them in the bedroom together or look as if. I bet it was on the beach because they hadn't even been on a date together yet. And maybe that's what she felt comfortable with. I don't know.
I mean, they're at dinner the night before, Grant, she's saying was it her that said I've talked a lot about myself, or was that Juliana? And would tell me more about you, whichever it was. And Grant was like, well, I like R&B, I like rap, and my favorite color is blue. And I was like, is this where we are? We're telling each other.
But he says more than that.
Yeah, he says stuff about his dad and his family too.
Yeah.
But we've already, I guess as an audience, we already knew that. And so some of this, I'm assuming that she knew because we as an audience, we knew this about his dad. Maybe they never had that conversation. But that's kind of my point. If they've not had this conversation about his dad until now, like he had that conversation with Litia and Juliana fairly early on, definitely before the hometowns.
She does say to him, so even though you can be a hard code to crack, or you can be hard to crack sometimes, she does say that. So some of that awkwardness is probably on him as well, right? It's not just her that's awkward with him. He's awkward with her. And it seems like he's attracted to her physically, but I just don't see
I mean, who's not attracted to her physically? So, okay. So my point here is that they are so not ready to be engaged.
I don't know. And then is it all because, is she just that uncomfortable on camera?
Maybe.
Or is she just really, really, is she that self-conscious outside of being on camera? I don't know. But I mean, she's stunning. She's beautiful. I think she's articulate but I just don't find, she's very robotic to me and not interesting and on camera. Yeah.
Well, speaking of robotic in the Get Out Stepford wife sense, let's move on to Litia.
Okay, Litia, yes.
Okay, I had no idea who Katie was when she walked up. I did not remember her. I don't remember Zach's season.
That's so surprising. That's shocking.
Oh my God. Well, I just thought it was really funny that the other two women were with, like we already said this, but with women who did not win their season win. But Katie, Katie comes on, she starts rehashing her trauma with Zach, and it's like, why are we doing this? I guess because Zach slept with other people, and this is one of the things that Litia is really worried about.
Well, because Litia's worried about it, and that was a big thing on Zach's that episode, because he said he was not going to sleep with anybody, and then did, and then felt the need to tell Katie, but then didn't think of how that made, I'm blanking on her name, how that would make the woman he slept with feel for outing that he slept with her on national TV.
Oh, it was right? Rachel, wasn't it? Was it? No, that wasn't.
It wasn't Rachel. I looked it up last night, and I was like, oh yes, her. But so it was handled really poorly, and but the producers love it because it makes good TV, right? So that's they love it, and so Katie, I knew who she was, and I knew that her and Zach are still together.
I looked that up. Yeah. Litia looks great, by the way, too. I mean, all of these women just have insane bodies, and I don't know, gorgeous. This is the best looking group of women I think that we've had in a long time, and men. But did you notice one of the things about Litia? It said she's a venture capitalist. It is the first time that I have seen that under her name. I don't know, maybe it was under there before, but I don't remember. Venture capitalist. It's just not, maybe I need to reconsider my ideas around Mormonism, but because venture capitalism is so focused on money and earning, maybe that's why they have this house in Wyoming. This other house in Wyoming.
If it is their house, or if it's an Airbnb.
Yeah, we still
because,
don't know that.
Yes, she's in Salt Lake City. So,
zip lining. This
would be your
never been
nightmare.
zip lining. No.
I love zip lining.
No, it's rickety as fuck. I'm sorry. I would not do that. What are the safety precautions in the Dominican Republic? What do you do on these dates if you don't want to go? If you're just like, I'm not going zip lining.
I don't know. I mean, I wonder how many zip lines they actually did. Because she said, oh, this might be my last one. And it was like,
I think it was 3.
That's what they show.
Right.
They showed 2, right?
I think they showed, she went twice, and then she said this is the last one because she was nauseous.
I thought that was after the first one. Maybe there's 3. I don't know.
Are you going to go back and look?
Maybe I will. I
watch this episode for the 3rd time.
Yeah. No, thank you. I love ziplining, and so she says I'm not adventurous. So it's funny when he's like, I'm gonna see how adventurous she is and what she's like with that, and she's like, I'm not adventurous. So, you know what though? Okay, we'll get to it. But this date, I realized there's something about when she's with Grant. She does a little bit of a baby talk.
Yeah, we noticed that. Yeah.
And it's a really, and she says, like, for a woman who's a venture capitalist and is very mature and grounded, it's really alarming to me in a way. Not alarming. It's really, to me that she says, like, and does this baby talk when she's with.
Yeah.
There was a lot of baby talk with him, and it annoyed me. I don't like it.
Yeah, it is a little it's I think it speaks a little bit to her desperation to want to like cuddle up with him and to be schmoopies and all of that, but I just don't think, like, I think maybe she should do that once they've sealed the deal.
Yes. So they have the zip line, and then they go to dinner, and she shows up in that crocheted dress.
Yes, that was so bad.
It's like, okay, that's just bad. That was a bad. She's got some bad looks.
Yeah,
She's gorgeous, and she had a couple of good ones, but she's thrown in some doozies. We'll get to the rose ceremony. The Harry Potter wizard dress, and then this crochet dress, and then our rose ceremony dress we'll get to. But yeah, she says like a lot, and she does the baby voice. They go to dinner. He mentions that his dad's in rehab right now, which I found a little confusing because did he just get out of? Did he leave rehab to film then? Because
he must have. I mean, they can,
right? Yeah.
I mean, you can come and go from rehab. It's not recommended. I think.
Yeah.
You can leave if you want.
Yeah.
But so they're talking about some things that I feel like for them saying "I love you" to each other, which they do during dinner. She says, "I love you,"
and he kind of regrets. It seems like.
I think his "I love you" just felt. Again, maybe it's because Grant also has no affect sometimes. He's just like, "I love you too." It is then that they start talking about would she move away from.
He says it first, though, right? He says it.
No,
first.
she thinks she says it first. You'll have to go back and watch.
Oh, I felt like he said it first, but okay. I feel like,
maybe you're right.
Sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he says it first, and then she says.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
but he already kind of knew. She already said, "I'm falling in love with you."
Yeah.
But anyway, one of the things that she does is she brings up at this point that she would be willing to live away from Utah.
Yes.
And this is the first. I'm like, this is the first conversation you're having, and you're gonna say you've said "I love you" or you're about to say "I love you" to each other, and you're just now saying whether you would be willing to move or not. I just feel like they've gone on 2 one-on-ones, and what were they talking about that whole time? I mean, this is like a fast track show. You have to know these things about somebody. She brings up the
Which
other
never
girls.
happens in the Golden Bachelor, obviously, because they get fucking married.
Yeah, and they're living in other places. I know.
And won't leave their hometown or where they live. So, yeah. So it seems to be a problem. But yes, so she says she's willing to leave. But that doesn't mean she's going to be happy if she leaves. That doesn't mean
No, absolutely not. And she also brings up the other women and the other woman in relation to Katie, her conversation with Katie. And he says, look, if we end up together, like the other women cannot be an issue. Like we can't go down this road. So she tells him that she's not ready for physical intimacy. There is something lacking in this date. And I don't know what it is, but I actually think that they peaked too early. I think that they peaked at hometowns, and now they're starting to really realize like they had that fall in love, lustful, burning moment. And now things are kind of starting to settle into, they have to get to know each other.
Well, it's, they might, yes, that's interesting. They might have peaked too early, and Juliana is peaking at the right moment.
Right time.
But she says to him, they bring up the fantasy date, and she says no, right? No fantasy date.
Or she says, I'm not ready for physical intimacy.
But she says no to it. She doesn't say, I'm not ready for physical intimacy. She says no, like fantasy suite, and she says no. She doesn't go into like, well, I'll go, but not be physical intimate. She doesn't say that. So she just says, well, I don't think this is on the table right now, or something along those lines, right? So she tells him that it's not on the table for her. That's what she says. It's not on the table for her. Then
I thought she said sex wasn't on the table for her.
That's not what I heard.
Okay, we'll go back and watch it.
I don't think she says that clearly, because then he says he loves her. She says she loves him, and then the next thing you know, they're going on the fantasy suite.
Look, it would not be the first time. I absolutely had a guy say I love you one time, and I immediately went and fucked him. So I was not going to fuck him, and then I did fuck him. And it was the huge mistake because he did not love me.
But it doesn't mean she was physically. It doesn't mean that she had to be phically intimate. That's what I want to say. Like, you can still go in the fantasy suite and just have that off-camera time.
Yeah.
And still, like, and maybe just make out, maybe not, but still just talk not on camera and see what that's like. Because that can be eye-opening, like it was for Deanna with Juan Pablo, right?
Yeah.
Who's this person when the camera turns off? And so it was just kind of interesting. Then she changes her tune. And again, that doesn't mean they slept together. I don't think they probably did. But then the next morning, it's that baby voice. And he seems to regret that he said he loved her because he still has feelings like he's still, I think, falling in love with Juliana. And that's who he's talking about, obviously, not Zoe. And so, yeah. And then she brings up 31 and she wants to maybe get married and have kids maybe in 2-year time, which is kind of quick.
She's 31.
Yeah. Which is kind of quick. But I understand what she's saying. Like her biological clock is ticking. I mean, that's just a fact.
It's a fact. That's the problem. Grant says her timeline is faster, but Grant doesn't understand. And I think many men do not understand how difficult it is. It's very difficult to get pregnant. I don't know that he actually knows like, it's difficult to get pregnant after 30. Like, people do
after 33.
Okay,
that's the
whatever.
big year.
After 33. And so she knows. So maybe she has done her research here. Even after 25, isn't it just a slow decline? And then 33 is like...
33 is a marker. 25 is not. 33 is a marker.
I just think like dudes think that it's easy. It is just, yeah.
Well, women do too, because a lot of women see older women having children and they don't realize, like someone who's went through 2 years of fertility stuff. And that wasn't my thing, but a lot of women, they see older women having babies and they think, oh, it's fine, but they don't realize the cost and the hardship of going through fertility stuff and what that cost.
Yeah,
so,
physically, emotionally, financially, everything. Yeah. It's really hard. I mean, good thing she's a venture capitalist and he drives a Ferrari. Maybe he can sell the Ferrari and
they can afford
take care
it.
Of that. But Peter did say something funny. Peter should be on here one time because he's got some zingers when we're sitting down. I told him you'll have to join us. He thought that one of the things that they might do is go to the bedroom and do that thing that is alleged that Mormons do called soaking. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know it. No.
The man puts his penis in the woman and someone jumps up on the bed simulating the motion. So you're not actually having sex. It's called like soaking or docking. And did you ever watch that show Jury Duty?
No.
Oh my God.
Oh, Cynthia, I did watch it once or twice. I never got that into it.
Oh God. It's just so, I thought it was like one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. But there's a Mormon person in the jury that falls in love with a non-Mormon these are actors that are doing this.
Right.
Falls in love with a non-Mormon person and, they just get the guy to jump on the bed while he has his penis in her. It's hilarious. So we thought, maybe they were doing a little soaking. They do have breakfast in bed the next morning.
Palmer is jumping on the bed.
No. Jesse, I love it. Litia did take off all of her makeup. She was the only one that did not put her makeup on and looking gorgeous. Then we go to Grant and he's like, okay, today's the rose ceremony. He goes, what am I going to do? I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I'm like, we all know what you're going to do, Grant. Yeah. Zoe is not staying. No. We all know. We know you don't know what you're going to do next week. But right now, like
But he also says, okay, he talks about how they told her that he loved her. And he said, that is how I felt.
Yes.
Right. And he realizes he has the same feeling for other women. He does seem to regret it. And then he says, do I stop the show now? Or do I pursue other women? Like he's questioning, like and it almost seems like, what is he supposed to do? So he's definitely very torn already because between these two women, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly.
Yeah.
So, we get to the rose ceremony. The dresses are bad. Juliana is the only one. Litia's dress is so bad. It looks like somebody sewed, like, I don't know, pieces of cloth to a dress. It's like, what happens here?
After they threw paint on it. It was like the sexy version of that wizard gown.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Zoe is wearing the lizard gown, the wizard. Zoe is wearing the wizard gown with the cutout. It's basically those arms. What is that? What is that?
Yeah.
Jesus on the cross. She does kind of look like, you know, when you see Jesus up there, the long hanging arms and the drapey dress. It's just that Zoe's dress was so bad. Litia grabs Juliana's hand when she comes up and she says, "Hi, Angel." And Juliana grabs her hand back, and Zoe walks up and seems like, no thanks.
Yeah. But Juliana
Zoe
tries.
looks like she's going to pass out. She looks like she's going to faint.
She's got to know.
Yeah.
She's got to know. And here's another thing. Do you think ever, like, do they not catch it on the first run, and do they have to film it again?
Oh, I don't know.
You know what I mean? I wonder. I mean, first of all, and this bugs the shit out of my husband so much. It's so funny. I was like, honey, it's never going to change. When Jesse Palmer walks out, this is the final rose. And he's like, no, you know, he's like, no shit. What the fuck is that needed for? Because obviously there's one rose there, especially when there's three of them. But every time, like, yes, everyone knows this is the final rose.
I think that's one of the things they should have cut in between Chris Harrison taking over and Jesse taking over. There are some of those traditions that we should let go of.
Yeah. And that's one of them. So, speaking of, oh, no, we don't have to go into that. But I just, so Zoe goes and she's not surprised. I was wondering if it was, take two or something. And she leaves and
her speech to him was about as mature and thoughtful as it could have been. It also was like she had sat in her hotel room and practiced that.
Yes.
There wasn't a like or an or any of those flavoring words. And she knew exactly what she was going to say to him. And then at the end, Grant says, Zoe and I were not at a place to get married. But I want to back up and remind you of what he said. He said to her, "I saw you with your people and I saw a wife." Now, he didn't say my wife, but he did say a wife. But it is interesting that I do feel like those sorts of things were like, I felt bad for Zoe because, like, I've already said this, but I just feel like she was led on, and I'm just bummed for her. I guess they're all led on in a certain way.
All led on. Every single season.
Litia and Juliana definitely are being led on.
They all are, and they all have to be, because otherwise they wouldn't have all these dates, and the show would be like very short and done. I mean, I told you I was on Love Connection. Did we talk about this already? I can't remember.
Not on this show, but yeah.
Okay,
not on our show. Not on our
show. I was on Love Connection, and I went on a date, and afterwards the producers are talking to me, and they said, hey, you need to play it up when you're talking about the date, because he's talking about it in a way and you're going to come across cold. So play it up. And so when I went out there, I played up the date. And so that's just, not even 5 minutes. That's over like this. This isn't like a long, long time. And so I'm sure that the producers are telling them all that shit. So yes. And I think that's why people are so nervous if it's real or not, or what's going to happen, because they know the producers, because they're telling them, hey, play it up. They're telling this person, like, they know they're all over it to make a show. Yeah. So they're trying to filter out not just getting to know somebody, but how much of it's real and how much of it is for the camera. And then you have people like fucking Devin, who did it all just to be, the winner. And then the show ends and he's like, bye.
Sayonara.
So I think I think they're not only navigating a new relationship, but they're navigating, is this 100% real or not?
Yeah.
Right. So I think that everyone's led on. The audience is led on. Yeah.
I do. I feel, I can't, I got to tell you, I miss the old seasons where they didn't say, I love you. I find it disingenuous sometimes that they don't, maybe they believe that, but because they have to know that they've been locked in this environment that's supposed to lead them to this decision that they're in love, right? Lead them to this, like they're cultivating love as opposed to maybe actually being in love. And so I do miss this. I miss them not kissing. I I miss when they didn't kiss everybody, because it
that's
used to
been
mean
years.
something. I know, no, that's been probably 10 years where they kiss everybody, maybe more.
Yeah, Bob started that, I think. That Bob
Oh, well,
guy.
that was, yeah.
Yeah. But I think, and Ben Higgins started the love you thing.
The I love you to two people. Now, every single one of them will be like, I didn't think I could be in love with two people. And I don't know that he's in love with two people. I actually don't think. I think he knows more about Juliana and her family, and I don't think he knows enough about Litia. I don't think we know enough about Litia.
I think whoever he picks, it's not that he is so torn between who he loves. I think he's petrified of hurting the other person.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that is his woes, is that I think if he's really honest with himself, really, he might really care about the other person. But I think he's more afraid of hurting the other person. I don't know. That's the way it seems to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully it's a good one.
Unless he does start off higher, like you said, with Litia, right? And then they maybe peaked too early.
Yeah.
And now it's a little, yeah. That place they went to in the water hole thing looked beautiful.
It was beautiful. I mean, Dominican Republic, that was the star of the show to me. The Dominican Republic, so beautiful. It made me be like, of all the places, like, I don't want to go to Scotland after this. I don't remember where else they went. Probably Cleveland or something. I don't want to go to any of those places, but I do want to go to the Dominican Republic.
You don't want to go to Cleveland?
I don't. Well, I don't know. Maybe Cleveland's great. If I could sell wine there, I would. I'd go to Cleveland to sell some wine.
There you go.
Yeah. Does anybody want to sell Wine Slut or Holus Bolus or Joy Fantastic in Cleveland? Hit me up.
Wine Slut.
How are you feeling?
All right.
You ready to go lay down? Exhausted?
Yeah, now this was my, I'm going to go lay in bed and do some computer stuff. And this is a different show, so we can take this out. But I've been watching, you would hate it. I started watching last night, A Snow in the Body, the trial of Karen Reed.
No, I don't want to hear about it.
It is, no, it's not scary.
It sounds scary.
It's not. It is fascinating. It's like this whole, like, one minute you think, oh no, she's guilty, and the next minute you think, no, she's being framed. It's really interesting. I love it.
Fascinated. No, I just don't like things about dead people. I don't like things about murder and dead people. It all scares me, no matter if it's, no matter what it is. Like,
but it's not scary. I'm gonna go take my computer and lay in bed.
Go watch your stuff. Do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Oh, are we still on? Next week, it is very exciting. Who's everyone think he's gonna pick? What do you think?
Who do you think is gonna end up with Juliana?
You think so?
Yeah. I think that's why he's so torn. I think he wants to dump Litia, but he knows how she's going to be absolutely crushed. Like, crushed.
But the same could be said for Juliana though too, because he tells her, she says, I'm a little broken. So I feel like he's gonna be like, she's broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping he picks Juliana. I just feel like they're more of a fit. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he likes his coffee. He likes his toast every now and then. Likes to dance.
Yeah.
Likes to curse.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right.
Okay. Love you. Okay, feel better.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Okay, wait.